welcome once again to Think Tank TV. Now, have you ever heard of the word they call self-sabotage or shooting yourself on the foot? Yes, I believe that in 2011, when former President Goodluck Jonathan went ahead to deregulate the media, that was exactly what the federal government did to themselves. They went ahead to shoot themselves in the foot. Because information has it that previously, before any information is released to the public, of course, that information will go through the Nigerian Communication Commission, and they will obviously do their best to script it to ensure that what they are disseminating to Nigerians is actually an information that they are willing to go out. But the moment President Goodluck Jonathan went ahead to deregulate the media, what happened? Nigerians took the media away from them. Else, some sensitive information that is obviously made available to Nigerians would have not been available to them, such as the recent debt that President Bola Tinubu has demanded to the tune of over 48 trillion naira. Yes, recall that about a few weeks ago there was a controversy in town where information had it that the President Bola Tinubu's administration came out and said that they had cleared the IMF loan to the tune of about $3 billion. But guess what? Few weeks down the line, information has it that they are going ahead to borrow another 40-something billion, and it has sparked reactions on the internet. In the early hours of today, Arise News comprising of Dr. Reuben Abati, Rufai, Oseni, and Bombay. Take note, Bombay made some very critical statements that I want you to sit back and listen to, including the words of Dr. Reuben Abati and Rufai Oseni going ahead to expose some of the failures of the President Bola Tinubu's administration regarding to the information they gave out that President Bola Tinubu's government is going to be demanding for another 40-something billion loan from foreign nations. Sit back and take a look at this information for yourself as I'll be coming back to give you the reactions of Nigerians about it. Please do your best to drop your thoughts in the comment section, because I want to go back and take a look at what you have to say about the actions of President Bola Tinubu's administration and the alleged propaganda the debt Nigerian government is owing has been cleared, which was disseminated a few weeks ago. Take a look at it for yourself, and I'll be coming back to give you the reactions of Nigerians about it.
Still on President Bola Tinubu, yesterday the president formally requested the approval of the National Assembly to secure a new wave of multi-currency loans amounting to approximately $23.5 billion, 2.265 billion euro, and 15 billion yuan, and 757.9 billion naira. This totals about 45 trillion naira when converted. The borrowing plan, spanning multiple international lenders and development institutions, marks one of the most ambitious external financing proposals of his administration to date. Specifically, the president is seeking approval for the capital raising of up to $2 billion in the domestic debt market. This, he said, was to ensure the implementation of the Presidential Executive Order on Foreign Currency-Denominated Financial Instrument Local Issuance Program. Also, the president requested the approval of the legislative arm for the federal government's 2025-2026 external borrowing plan.
If the National Assembly approves it, and I want them to scrutinize, and I please charge everybody watching me this morning, call your lawmaker. If the National Assembly approves that money, our debt profile will go up to 197 trillion. Before President Tinubu came in, maybe we were inching close to a little 100 or over 100 trillion. Today, if we hit 187 trillion, it will be that he borrowed over 60 to 70 trillion in the space of 2 years. What are we doing with these monies? That's the big question we need to answer. So the other day, when they were celebrating the fact that they've cleared IMF COVID debt of 3.2 trillion, which, go and check the records, I think the other administration started paying, and they still have the, what's it called, the residuals in interests to pay, the special drawing rights to pay, but you are going to take 45 trillion on top of it at a time where things are bad in the country and people are not seeing the effects. In the papers recently, I saw the Attorney General say, they had recovered a lot of money, over $600 million and the likes, and they've put it in conditional cash transfer. The question is, we would like to see those that are getting the conditional cash transfer from this government. Please, if you are the very poorest in the society and getting conditional cash transfer, bring it out. As for ECOWAS, 50 years after, we've done a lot. Not too much. economic zone is one. In 79, we brought about free movement, just 4 years after we signed the ECOWAS Treaty. In Ghana, they had a scholarship scheme. We've had many events since April. But the colonial power still raised their ugly heads. We all know some of the countries that broke out, they went to form the Association of Sahel Nations, and the push Russia is giving them, vis-a-vis that of France. We remember how when there were conversations about the ECHO, we remember the role France played. We remember the fact that most of these countries, their currency is still domiciled out of France. So it's been 50 years of push and shove. I think there's a word for it, it's called degagismo. The future of the next 50 years is what we should look at now. Some gains, some losses. I yield the floor. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
How are you?
Yeah,
I hope you didn't see the rain. Yeah, Rujo.
And now we are borrowing again. Okay, so what was that drama all about? Saying we have paid off our loans. Propaganda. Unnecessary optics. Now the same government has written to the National Assembly to say we have to take more money. And they are not taking the money from IMF and World Bank. They are taking from Japan. They are taking from China. They are taking from Europe. They are taking from everywhere. Yen, euro, dollar, pound sterling. So if we borrow this money, some funny character from the Ministry of Finance is saying that it will not increase our debt burden. No, the truth is that it will increase our debt burden. If you borrow, you pay back. So this is money being borrowed on top of the head of my grandchildren. This is the truth. And okay, is there justification for it? President Tinubu says, well, we have to borrow this money to address issues in critical sectors, water, transportation, infrastructure, and all of that. Yeah, President Tinubu's arguments look reasonable. They need money. Why do they need money? Oil and gas is not producing money. Revenue is down. There are issues with tax revenue. So the government is technically broke. That's why they are looking for money. They are not just going to all these international institutions to beg for money. The president even sent a second letter asking for the federal government to generate bonds to the tune of about 745, right, billion. And what is bonds? It's also debt. 45 trillion to borrow from everywhere. However, I summarize by saying this, that the issue that we are concerned about, they may have the leg room, DMO may insist that they have the leg room. Transparency and accountability. When they borrow this money, we don't want to hear that they want to buy new jets. We don't want to hear that the president wants to change his official cap. We want to know how that money is spent. The issue in Nigeria is always about transparency and accountability. As for the fact that they don't have money, the revenue is low. Oil price, spot price of oil has gone down. So where is the money coming from? So they have to protect themselves, states and federal government. But what will they do with the money? That is the question.
Now, Dr. Abati, the irony in this is that the states have been able to reduce a lot of their debt burden to a large extent, but the federal continues to balloon their debt. Sometimes when we comment on some of the statements, it seems like we are skeptical. But truly, when the announcement was made around the cancellation or the full payment of the legacy debt, as it was called, there's a reason why there were a lot of questions around it, why there was a lot of investigation around it, because we knew that there was a looming announcement around more debt to come. Now, what are the implications of this? 52.7% is the increase that it will cause in our external debt burden. We're currently sitting at about $45 billion, so this will take us to $69.9 billion of debt. If you look at the International Development Association, we're currently the third most indebted nation to that World Bank's IDA in the world. We are third, Bangladesh is first, Pakistan is second, I believe. Now, why is this worrying? It's worrying because if this particular loan is approved and we do take it, it pushes us to our threshold of 40% debt to GDP ratio. Why are these thresholds created? These thresholds are created because we analyze the economy and we say at this point is where this debt becomes unsustainable, it becomes a risk to other areas of the economy, and generally it makes running our fiscal a little bit more complicated. So this loan will take us to that 40%. Now the irony is that today we're talking about ECOWAS. That 40% is also what the threshold that one cannot surpass if one is to enjoy the macroeconomic convergence that will create a single currency for ECOWAS. So that also puts that at further risk. Now, what are we worried about? We're worried about the fact that for now, it has been said that this borrowing is towards infrastructure, towards health, towards, various developments. But the worry is that government-led infrastructure development does not necessarily lead to real value. Now, if this was going directly into the productive sector, then we may say, well, there's some marginal room. But we need to evolve from this model of borrowing for infrastructure and pursue other models. There are private-public partnerships. There are a number of other models that one can pursue in order to try and balance Nigeria's infrastructural debt. And then also this philosophy that we need to build roads and bridges in order to make Nigeria a wealthy place, and in order for the masses to begin to enjoy the fruits of the economy is also a fallacy to a large extent. Yes, they do enhance ease of doing business. Yes, they do make life easier. But the honest truth is, if you and I are hungry, we cannot go and eat the road or eat the bridge. We certainly cannot. We need things that translate into tangible value into the pockets of all Nigerians. So these are the worries around it. The other worry is that as this goes into the National Assembly, just yesterday we were talking about whether this assembly is rubber stamp or not. The